Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brick Chats. I am Jim, and I am pleased to be joined with Sean the Right Way from the YouTube channel A Couple of Brickheads. Sean, how you doing?
Good, man. Good to see you, my friend. Happy to join you on your show and channel once again. I think the world of you. Jim's a great guy. He came on a couple of brickheads when we had exactly 30 people following us. So anytime Jim asks me to come in, man, I'm there in a second. So good to see you, bud.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we are going to have all of his information in the description below. So please, by all means, I'm never going
Yeah.
to put a gun to anybody's head and tell them to subscribe. But if there was ever a time to do that, this would definitely be it. So please do a favor for Sean and also do a favor for me. I greatly appreciate it. Now, hopefully, very soon, we will be joined by Brent. He is the co host of A Couple of Brickheads. We were kind of waiting for him, but he kind of signaled that he'll be joining us a little bit later. So hopefully that will be the case. But if not, we could still have fun and chat about all kinds of good stuff. So I was just going to kind of honestly just have fun with this video. I mean, we could talk about Lego sets, we could talk about a couple other things, but the cool thing about YouTube, but in my opinion, there's more of a community in YouTube than there is Instagram sometimes. And so I think it's great to just be a little bit more personable. Now, Sean, I know you, but there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about you. So let's just start shooting off with the easy ones. What if we're talking 2022, 2023, are there any sets that you really liked? I don't even know if you have a particular theme that you like more than most.
Well, it's funny. I came into this in 2019. I came in later in life. There was no. I guess my whole life was a dark age before that time. So I'm a little bit pre-COVID, but no. My base is I'm a pretty big Disney freak, and but specifically the parks, and then even more specifically the park vehicles. I've always collected them. I don't know. I figured like there's only a finite amount of that, and so caught wind that Lego and Disney had collabed on the Disney train, which that is a ride, that is an attraction, and it wasn't even the castle that pulled me in; it was the train. And so, yeah, I got that set. I asked for it for Christmas that year. I couldn't think of anything else, so I got that. And what a hell of a first set to start with! Like I should have eased into it a little bit, but yeah. So I got that, and then you built it. I had a good time. It was relaxing. I'd do little sessions after everybody was asleep. Like, oh, they got Star Wars too. And I've always been a Star Wars guy. Okay, let me Razor Crest. That's cool. All right, let me get that. And then just, I don't know, from there, it was just like, you know, and go. It was,
Right.
and so to ask me today, like what my themes are, still Star Wars heavy. Fortunately or unfortunately, there's not a lot of, we'll call them Disney park sets. There's plenty of Disney stuff. There's not a lot of park specific stuff. Like I of course went and have the castle, the first one. Looking forward to the second one, but I'm still like, when are we gonna get Haunted Mansion? Like they got me chasing the dragon for 4 years looking for the second set I really wanted. And here we are all these couple years and thousands of dollars later. But no, man, I'm kind of a little bit into everything. I've got Monkey Kid. I was always a Jurassic guy, so I dabble in that. But I decided I'm just gonna get what I really want. And I'm not gonna try to be a completionist because I've done that with stuff, and
Yeah.
it's like, so what? Whoever has the most money can be a completionist or is willing to put the dedication in, but it doesn't mean anything, and you're gonna end up with a bunch of dust that you don't care about anyway.
Right.
So I kind of bounce around. But my near term goal, now that I'll have more space since I moved, is I do want to put together a city, mainly with the kids, a little city with attractions and stuff like that. Like if they're not going to give me my Disney rides, I'll use what Lego's got and put together my own. So
Yeah, and one of the things that we both have in common is that we're fathers, and I think I've said this many times on my YouTube channel that obviously you see things a lot different when you have children, and but I think that also relates to Lego too,
for
right?
sure.
Because just hearing the kids talk about Toy Story, and then there's Toy Story Lego theme and all kinds of other stuff. And even when we're speaking of Disney, like the Belle, Beauty and the Beast, those
Yep.
are some sets that honestly I would just glance over and move on. But because I have children, you
Mhm.
you kind of have more of a keener eye, and
Sure.
you're able to check that out.
No, for sure, and to be clear, I still want more park stuff. However, they do get me with some of the stuff, the Minnie and Mickey buildable characters, which I know some people thought were ugly, and you would know. I think it's retired, but you can still get it, so I don't know if that one's ever gonna be a winner, as you'd put it, but it didn't matter to me. I thought it was cool, you know? I mean, in person, I think it's a lot more impressive. Trying to think of what else. You know, this stuff that's coming now, I'm not too excited about. I like the Up House, but
Yeah,
generally speaking, yes, the Bell and the sort of more kids oriented play sets 100% get them for my daughter, you know, with the mini dolls and all that stuff, but there hasn't been, I guess, a lot of Disney for me. The CMFs I'm all over, of course, you know, like those are cool, but because those characters oftentimes can be found in the park, so it kind of scratches the itch.
right.
But generally speaking, yeah, I mean there just hasn't been much from Disney, you know, for me, but definitely purchased a ton of it for my daughter.
Right.
Yeah.
It would be cool. You mentioned the Haunted Mansion. I mean, there's that 30 or $40 set, which is okay, but you know, if you had something, I don't know if they would ever make like a UCS. And here's the deal:
They got
some
to. They
people,
have to, Jim. There's no way on earth. Real quick, sorry to jump in, but like,
please,
here's the deal. The movie is coming this fall or this summer or this fall, but certainly before Halloween. This haunted house that's out now has got to be going at some point. IP of Haunted Mansion is one of those ones like on our show that we like to say brings all the boys to the yard. Everybody, it's one of those rare things that transcends out of Disney and all that. You don't have to be a Disney nerd to get Haunted Mansion. Haunted Mansion synonymous with Halloween at this point. Go to one store, a Hot Topic, a costume shop, whatever. Haunted Mansion stuff is all over the place. So it's one of
right,
those ones, mainstream, whatever word you want to use, definitely crossed over into mega pop culture. And so, off the strength of that, plus the Disney freaks, plus people who are into modulars,
right,
plus people who are just into Halloween season and don't know a thing
right,
about Haunted Mansion. There's no way on earth that set doesn't crank. And you could
right.
put 400 on it and it won't matter. It will happen. It has to. Like it's such a no-brainer. And that little mini set, I agree, the little micro build, it gives me hope. It shows that it's at least possible to have Haunted Mansion on a box. You know, I'm like, all right, step one, well, baby steps. But it's
Right.
it's just a no-brainer, and I don't know if the challenge is whether they can figure out a way to put the ride in there that would satisfy everybody, because I think that could be a thing, you know, that could be a drawback potentially, you know, as far as to have the actual vehicle moving around. I don't know what the holdup is because I've never seen a bigger no-brainer ever than that.
Yeah, there's a lot of back and forth on Brick Picker on what actually is a UCS set and stuff like that. But
You know what I mean? A
honestly,
girthy boy, you know, something. Doesn't have to be UCS.
anything that's $400 or more, I call it UCS because
There you
that's
go.
a UCS deposit from my bank or withdraw from my bank account.
Exactly. Exactly. And there's other dreams out there we could talk about. You know, I think everybody knows and recognizes the Epcot golf ball, as people call it, Spaceship Earth.
Right.
There's Space Mountain, which is iconic. There's so many ways they could go with it, man. But I feel like Haunted Mansion's the most tangible one of everything I can come up with.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they are making that other house too. So at that scale, you have like the 30 or $40 Disney castle, you have the Haunted Mansion, and there's something else that I think is coming up in the next 4 or 5 months. It's a house. It's not from the theme park, but it's I think from the movie Aladdin, and it's the same scale. So hopefully there will be a line of well, there already is, I guess, a line of micro builds of
Mhm.
that sort. But hopefully, if there were as many, not even as many, if there was, a tenth of the UCS Disney sets out there as there are Star Wars, I think that would satisfy a lot of people and they would consume that.
No, 100%. And again, just go with sure bets and not what you're trying to push in theaters. I think we've seen a lot of that lately too. Is a lot of these UCS or these bigger sets are aligned with the movie's release schedules, and I get that as a businessman, but like a lot of them haven't had enough time to sort of creep into, you know, something bigger than the flavor of the month. You know what I mean? Like a lot of this stuff is wham bam and it's out of our minds, you know, a few months after it's out. But some of this stuff that's got long tail, like attractions that people have been to, at Disney. And there's a reason why that castle stuck around so long. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
had a lot of. I am a little concerned going back to the train real quick, though. I think that was kind of a dud in a lot of ways. I don't think that did that well. So I
Yeah.
could be way off base here, but it certainly didn't do a fraction, I don't think, of what the castle did. So I could be off. There might not be an appetite for $300 and $400 Disney park sets. I don't know. But Haunted Mansion's a haunted house, and everybody would want that anyway. So
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people would want that.
yeah.
So I'm just going to throw this out there. I'm not just because this has been on my mind for the last 24 hours. This is being recorded on a Monday. I think yesterday was whenever they unveiled the new Lego Batcave. I'm not sure if you've seen that or not.
I have, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's not for me, at least right off the bat. I don't get it. I just don't get it. You're paying more for the box than you are the set. And I don't mean the packaging. I mean the box with
Right.
the outline for the bat. Somebody I had that exact thought, but somebody put it into words better. I forget who it was, but I've read and consumed a lot of stuff, but that was my exact thought. I'm like, all right, that looks cool from the blurry images. And then they open it up and I'm like, it looked a little wimpy on the inside for that price point. I'm like, well, yeah, because all of the bricks were on the exterior. They, whatever
Right.
budget they had to get is it 450 you said?
I did. Honestly, I
think it's
think it's at
450.
least $400 or something like that.
I think 450 is probably whatever it is. Either way, man, let's call it 4. No.
Right.
Not
Right.
happening. And I'm wondering if this is going to be the type of thing that hits the 30% off, or like Black Panther did recently. I just think this is still a hangover, but they let it go from when they're like, these people will pay anything for this, when they got real loose last summer. You saw it. We had the back-to-back of the Harry Potter $500 Hogwarts train. Even the Harry Potter people were like, hey, we do have a limit. The Black Panther movie, it's like he's kind of getting into that upper echelon, but why are we starting with him at 350? And I understand it was a tribute, and I get all that. We had a pretty hot debate on that on our show last week. I don't know if you, but I was like, they should have. But I mean, Jim, am I crazy? They should have started with, if Spider-Man is the number one guy in Marvel, which I think he is by however they measure it, start with him. Proof of concept, get that out there, and then start putting. I'm sorry, but Black Panther is a second tier character.
Yeah.
Well, some people are trying to argue with me and say like, no, he's right up there. I'm like, he was a few months ago because his movie was out, but when the dust settles, I'm sorry, but Spider-Man stuff's going to sell constantly. Whereas Black Panther, when he comes up again, sure, everybody's hyped. But my point was like, do a proof of concept. Either way, the price was wacky. And then the third of the triple header of doom was that Hulkbuster for 550 or whatever it was. Right? Remember that every month there was like a $500 set or something. And then like the icing was the $250 micro foosball table. It was, I remember that specific moment. I'm like, they are going to need to course correct in 22. And I have seen some of the retails come down, but I just think this Batcave was in development and they're like, did you see what happened with that Mario block? These idiots will pay for just a box of some, like I really think they're like, let's slap Batman on it and charge double, and these bozos will buy it. And diehard Batman guys will get it, but you know what I mean? That the casuals, the guys that teeter in and out of this stuff,
Right.
they're not going to buy it. They're just not until it hits whatever it is, 280, 3 something, maybe. But and I don't want to see this. Oh, it'll sell out on the first day. It doesn't matter. BTS sold out on the first day. I want to see what you want to see is like, okay, we got that initial pop from the hardcores. What is happening long term? Yeah.
So as a collector, I personally love it. Well, and when I say I love it, as a reseller, I will not touch it.
Well, you don't like to go into the girthy boys too much, right? Like your cap's 100, you said. You kind of try to stay.
It's probably so that UCS Hedwig is like 230. I would raise it to that, but definitely not that Hogwarts Express $400 thing. But yes, so if they were to knock that down to 30% off, hell yeah, I'm all about that. I do think it is lacking a lot. Now, here's the deal. It's cool that, I mean, if you're a BrickLinker and you're looking for a lot of black bricks, God bless. Right?
Yeah. Well, you should be buying the Panther for that right now. If
Yeah,
you're
true.
a lot of the BrickLink channels are buying those Panthers up, man, because they're like, okay, for that it's a good deal. But yeah,
And because it is so big, I could almost see it's very easy to buy other, $30 or $40 Batman sets and put that in as an addition to the Batcave. I'm definitely going to get one.
for
And
because you're a
I think,
Batman guy, right? That's your guy.
well, I mean DC's better than Marvel any day of the week. It's like,
I agree. I agree with one little asterisk. I still can't understand why they can't get Superman right.
right. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Well,
just I can't understand. I can't fathom it. We went into that, by the way. I'm sorry to plug again, but we went into
no,
that.
please.
One of the topics with Ash and Flash last week, guys. Go check it out. Great guy, by the way. It was like the most long form thing I've ever heard him on. It was great. It's like, what the hell is wrong with DC? And you can see at the studio level they're struggling, but it's like everybody else learned how to play the hits, and they try to make these last two attempts. You grew up where they're roughly the same age, Jim. Chris Reeve, greatest Superman of all time. I'm sorry, he just
Yeah.
is. And the reason why is because he didn't need to be, he had a nice build, but he wasn't like roided out of his mind. It was also serious, but there was also some comedy in there.
Yeah.
Not all comedy like Marvel's doing, but there was enough levity to where he'd give a certain smirk and it was like hilarious, like almost as if he's in on the joke. And I think DC, with the success of Dark Knight, has forgotten that. And they forget that the word comic is in comic book. Like there needs to be a little bit of levity in it. Like, the first Shazam was pretty, it was like, it was better. It was an improvement of not being so serious all the time. But I think in a lot of ways that Dark Knight trilogy really did in DC in a lot of ways. They made $1 billion, but then billions of dollars, and then they tried to be like, all right, how do we make a serious Aquaman? And how do we make a serious or a dark version? And it's like, I don't know, man. For me, I like those movies. I'm not, I fell asleep during all of them. That might just be me, but the second one was very good. The Heath Ledger one, of course. The other ones I didn't think were that great, and everyone's like, "You're nuts." I'm like, "Well, that's just how I feel about it," But I don't know, man. Like, how do you get Superman wrong a couple times? Like, how do you get
Right.
Batman versus Superman wrong? How do you do that? How do you manage to do that? And they did.
So,
So that's why the sets
so,
are,
so,
there should be a Superman on the shelf of all times, Jim, for Lego. I don't get it. They
so
did it
we're
right.
just going to go off the rails during this YouTube video, and I'm just saying the Batcave and the comments you made is just going to lead me into asking you: Have you seen the trailer to the new Flash movie?
Yeah.
I
Very,
love it. Well, here's the
it
deal.
looks good. I think they're coming back a little. I watched it once, to be fair. I didn't sit there and study it, but
Yeah.
I liked what I saw. It seemed like they might be on the right track. But again, we're gonna have to see the finished product. But I'm hoping for the best, man. Yeah, I'm a DC guy too. I'm pulling for him.
A lot of people are calling it the third movie in the Michael Keaton trilogy.
Listen,
Because
I said, when in doubt, man, play the hits. It's okay to play the hits and bring Keaton back. You get some goodwill from us olds, like we'll come see it, people growing up saying, Keaton's the best Batman. You can have all these other guys. And, I don't know if he was necessarily the best Batman, but I felt like that run of movies was the best. The first two certainly were awesome.
yeah, the Tim Burton ones.
And by the way, going back to your world, I think the numbers speak for themselves. That 89 Batmobile is doing fantastic.
Yeah, it's great.
And the Wing now too, right? It's getting up there too. So, yep.
Well, that's interesting that you just did that comparison, and then you're talking about the trilogy with Heath Ledger and Bane and all those, because that Tumblr, I mean, this guy right here, I mean, it took forever for that to perform. And in 1989, overnight, pretty much.
I think the Tumblr did well because, unless I'm mistaken, that was like a new vehicle theatrically for that trilogy. And when the new Batmobile comes out, certainly the last one was beyond polarizing, right? The one from the most recent release. No, so I think it's funny because the Batmobile is a little bit different in that I can't think of many other things that they version out like that, where people have heated debates about the vehicle itself. But I think, and it's not just me being a homer because I saw the movie when I was 10 in theaters, but I think everybody kind of recognizes that the 89 Bat. I know there's going to be people that say the Dark Knight one. No, the Dark Knight one's known for the tumbler. It is. I
Yeah,
mean, it's proofs in the pudding. And the 89 is known for probably the greatest Batmobile of all time, besides 66, obviously. The 66 Batmobile. I kind of have them neck and neck. I love that 66. But it's so
right.
different. It's hard to compare them. But yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I think what's interesting is I want to hear from you on this. Like they're circling back to 89 because it worked and they're making it at a price point for everybody. Do you think it's more about, obviously they were designing this before the 89, the big boy UCS retired. Do you think that has more to do with what happened with the GWP on that one? Because remember, there was a GWP with that 89 Batmobile, and I think it's like $2 now just for the
yeah.
GWP.
So, so I actually have that GWP, and
Oh, man. That was before
and
I
I
started collecting.
and I cannot find it, and it is killing me. Like it is somewhere here,
Oh, oh,
and like I looked,
it's
I
too
looked at
much
my kid's
inventory,
room
Jim.
because, and
Don't get high off your own supply.
the thing about it is, whenever I was reorganizing, I said to myself, You know what? I'm going to put it here. That way it'll be safe and it won't get dinged because full disclosure, once every 2 years, I'm moving things around and I crush a box of something. Now, usually it's a Frozen set or it's something, no big deal. But I think I did a number on this and I just can't find it. But yeah, I think that's a
I'd
good.
take it used at the right price, Jim.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it is I got that. I didn't get it whenever I bought the 1989 Batman. I bought it on BrickLink for $70,
And
a
again, was that
couple
more?
years
That was
ago.
more for. Was that more for personal or for either?
Well, I thought it was, to be honest, I thought it was going to be a little bit bigger. I didn't know, my mind was somewhere else whenever they did that GWP.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and that's unfortunate because sometimes those things just slip through the cracks, right? And you're like, oh
yep.
wait, they have another Millennium Falcon. Who knew? But
Right, right, right. Yeah, you mean
or
like the play scale versus? Yeah, right.
yeah, or oh, there's a GWP Death Star. No kidding. So yeah, so I thought it was a little bit bigger because it was $70, and then when I put it next to my other $30 Batmobile boxes, I was like, wait a second. The thing about it is the 1966 Batcave pretty much
Thanks.
crashed and burned, right? If we're talking about like the reseller
Yeah.
market, and I
Oh
deliberately
yeah.
didn't purchase it, but I looked at that 1966 car and I said, if there was one reason why I would buy that, it's for the car. And I feel like I would like to see the debates, not in the Lego boardroom, but like in the designer conferences where, there is some 25-year-old kid who loves nostalgia and he might be a numbers guy. And then there's some 46-year-old executive saying, all right, we're going to do A, B, C, and D. And this 25-year-old kid's raising his hand saying, listen, I know I've only been here 5 minutes, but you're really missing the boat on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
And there will be discussion. They're like, well, we did the Batcave and it failed. And it's like, yeah, because that Batcave sucked, but the car,
People weren't
if yeah,
people weren't willing to pay what was it, 250
at
retail
least,
somewhere? It was over
yeah,
2. Yeah, okay. So the when I looked at it, that's when I was first starting, and it had already retired, but it was definitely still available for retail. In fact, less in a lot of places, particularly Zavi. I think it got down to like
yeah,
160, and you probably got it. Yeah, well, you said you didn't go in on those, but if you were, that would have been the time to do it. And I looked at it, and I'm like, really, I just want like the the office scene, with the poles, because that's awesome.
yeah,
The helicopter, the Batcopter. I mean, there hasn't been a 66 Batcopter besides that one, to my knowledge, and then the vehicle, and then the figs.
yeah,
I didn't want this monstrosity around it, and I think, like, if that's what you're saying, like, yeah, I think if you cherry pick out, I went in on, the 66, standalone car because, nothing like your numbers. I think I got, like, 5 of them, but I'm like, "I know this is gonna be fine because people are
right.
gonna want that one." But I think if they just went, there's a toy line still out that I wanna say started 10 years ago that's on 66. It's still sold at Target. And I think if
Oh,
they went real heavy on those 66 as a theme with the Batcopter, couple other iconic things, Catwoman, all the villains would draw, they would sell sets, they'd be set sellers just by putting the figs in them. I think 66 would be a nice sub theme. Just, I'm with you. I hope they didn't get a sour taste because they started with a UCS and then it tanked.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that would be interesting. So, just to have like a creator classic theme or something
Yeah.
like that. I
Anything.
mean, I think it would do better than dots or
Right. Well, certainly, and it'd do better than Superman that's not out. It's like, okay, well, if you can't have Superman, run different era Batmans, I guess. If Batman is playing the hits for them, then okay, well, get us some different looks on Batman, like drastically different.
yeah.
Rather than I mean, it's like, I say this, but then Star Wars does like how many black Batmobiles can you sell? A lot, but how many big gray ships can you sell? A lot. So I could be wrong here, but I don't know. I could be pulling for the wrong stuff, but I don't know, man. The 60, I would think it's a top three Batmobile, certainly, right, Jim? I mean, 89 and 66, somewhere in that order.
Yeah,
It's like,
definitely. Yeah, I because here's the deal. The other Batmobiles that are made, there's really I, and I'm sure I'm missing one. Well, I mean, you have the Tumbler, so I guess there's something to the Tumbler because it was in a trilogy, right? But the Riddler chase, which is this guy right here. I forgot to turn my neon lights on for this, so I
mm,
apologize in the
yeah,
background.
yeah, that was a good one.
But it looks like a 1989 Batman, kind of,
Oh, yeah.
but
From
it's
there, it does.
just
Yeah.
I mean, even if there was a Batman cartoon with this featured, I don't think it would, still have the meaning or, you know, it would be ingrained in your DNA
Right.
uh, like that. So, and the reason
Yeah,
why
I
I
mean,
was
it
laughing
needs the
whenever,
IP to push it, right? It needs a
yeah,
yeah, it needs, the recency to push it. You need to be aware of it. I love that thing, like when you come out with a fresh Batmobile as a toy set, you're gonna get Batmobile diehards to get it, but you're not gonna get everybody else.
I was going to talk about some of the sets that have been revealed over the last couple of weeks, but I know on your show you had Ash and Flash, and you guys went over a lot of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
But I might as well still ask you: was there a couple sets this year that you kind of had your eye on, and you're like, okay, I'm definitely gonna pick up one of those?
I think in general, I'm liking what I'm seeing out of City for the first time in a while. Um, I feel like the Friends team has pushed them. We actually
Right.
did like a Friends versus City kind of situation over on the show because it's like now City is straight up borrowing from Friends, not going at that hard on the pastels, but there's definitely more sort of, color, a palette of colors over on the City side, but I also think their creativity is being pushed and, so I feel like the prices have gotten a little more reasonable too. I know that's not specifically what you're asking me about, but I think it's
Yeah.
relevant. Yeah, I feel like some lessons were learned last year around pricing. I don't know if you've noticed, but there's some wacky stuff going on. There's a lot more 34.99s and 44.99s, and you know what I mean. Usually it was like rounded by 10 for the most part, especially
Yeah.
when you get up there. It's like it's either 130 or it's 120. A
Yeah.
124.99 as a regular MSRP is not a normal thing, and I'm seeing a lot of that there. So not saying necessarily that I'm buying a lot of it or most of it. I will still hopefully catch some of this on the magical times at Walmart, if any of it's for me. That magical time of year where we can get stuff real cheap. But the ones that I would consider paying close to full for that I saw, which are awesome, is I really like that ski resort, the
Yeah.
ski lift. I think that'll do well seasonally. You'd know more than I would on that kind of stuff. And I do like the one that's basically a modular, whatever the hell it's called, the town center or whatever. I think that one might be able to do okay if you can get it for a decent price.
It's called the Town Center.
Yeah, it's the big boy. I think it's damn near a modular price too. It's 180 or 200.
Okay.
Just I don't
Okay.
remember the exact name of it, but it's probably the beefiest or girthiest
Gotcha.
city set. I think that one's cool.
Oh yeah, I see it.
And I know you love to play on the low end. If you have that lineup, and I don't know if you want to like post any of it in here, but I'm trying to remember. But there's this little and actually, this is a creator, so I'm gonna jump a little bit, but did you see that little Land Rover that's like 10 or 15 bucks?
No. So there's like a
You're
10 or
you are
$15.
going if you didn't make a video on this, I guarantee you will within the next week.
I'm always
Pull
looking
it
for
up on
hot
your
topics.
well, pull it up on your Google machine. There's a creator, I believe it's a creator. It's one of those little yellow sets, little box, kind of like the Tuk Tuk was in. And I want to say it's
Right.
10 or 15 bucks, but I think it's a great complimentary piece to any of these rovers that are going out. And I see you going absolutely gonna say something there, but
Oh, that one. Okay, I saw that. I
I see you
wasn't sure.
going deep. I see you going deep on that, but I could be wrong a little
I didn't
bit.
know that was a Land Rover. Okay. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely. Well, and here's the deal too. I try not be a Lego critic, right? Uh, but the thing that I didn't like about the last Land Rover was it was a similar color to the first one, right? Well, I don't want to say a Land Rover. That was a
Defender or
yeah, a Defender. Somebody
well, I don't
like
know, Range Rover, they all but the point
yeah,
is it has the word rover in it, and as you know, that brings people out, and I think if someone's trying to be a completionist, if you get in on this at what is it, 10 or 15? I forget. I feel like you could get 40 for those in a little bit of time, right? I mean,
yeah.
reasonably? Yeah. So, just for those playing small ball, I think that's a nice one to not that there's anything wrong with that. People make 'em in off of speed champs, but I
That's a good one. That might be so good. I may not even make a video. I might just talk to the
for your
Patreons about that.
Patreons, there you go.
So,
Yeah. All right. Well, if you
so
got, hey, listen, if you listen to me be a motor mouth and you got this nugget out of there, that's your investment tip for this week.
gotcha.
We do not give advice or whatever the disclaimer is, but
Right.
um,
Uh,
I think I see that brand and I know there's aficionados and that could be on dudes' desks, and
yeah.
40 bucks to people who can afford a Rover is nada. That's nothing. That's a salad at lunch. So
Right. Right.
yeah.
There was a city house that I liked.
Yes.
It reminds me of a Creator 3-in-1, but as I said
Mhm.
in a private video, that it almost it almost made me think that they couldn't figure out the other two builds, so they waved a wand and they're like, "All right, we're moving you to the city theme."
Yep. No, I agree, and I think I will say, and I'm so glad you brought that up. I want to hear your thoughts on the house that's on shelves right now.
Are you talking
It's just a regular
the cozy
single,
something?
yeah, single family home. You know, the one it folds in and makes a nice little tight little modular. I want to say it's 60 or something. I think
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
like that they're doing a
honestly,
house there and they're doing another one now. I like what's going on there because we haven't been able to have. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but in cities there hasn't been any residential besides apartment buildings and high rises. I think some people would
yeah.
like to have a nice little residential street.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
There's a lot of sets that might kind of look gentrified,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Well, I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. I mean,
right.
I think they were getting too wacky. Do you remember the it was a city set and I almost pulled trigger several times even on sale and I couldn't get my head around it. It was like a modern house that it came with it was the first one to come with the electric vehicle. It was like tan and
Yeah,
all windows.
yeah,
Like I was like getting a little out there with that, and people are like demanding just can we just have some normie houses? They can't all be, because I think with this, with a couple, the cozy house, Jim, with a couple of color swaps on some
yeah,
stuff. I mean, let's face it, that's how a lot of neighborhoods look today, right? They're track homes all built the same with a little bit of variation on there. I feel like people could buy a gang of those and have some fun. Whereas if you've got these non HOA, we'll call them neighborhoods where it's like this guy's got glass everywhere and then this guy's got a hot pink house and then this guy's got
right,
it's like and that's fine and let your imagination run wild but some people want things a little more uniform and chill
right,
and you could say boring whatever but it's
right,
or
right,
gentrified whatever you want to call it but I
right.
think people who like army build a bunch of ATATs like there's people who would probably want houses like that too. There's got to be some, and certainly people will pick up one. Why wouldn't you? It's a beautiful set.
Yeah, I've always thought that you'll have more room if you use those mini modular type things versus in some of these cities on YouTube. And I'm saying to myself, okay, you have a beautiful city, even though they're all modulars, really nothing that much creative. then you have a Daily Bugle, right? Which is a cool set, but I'm just saying, I think it kind of, right next to a police station. I'm not sure that's the best, or next to the Palace Cinema. I'm not sure that's the best building to have right there. I don't know. I would definitely have probably half or maybe a third of it be like a forest, right? So there could be some cool things in the forest, maybe a Ted Kaczynski cabin or something like that. And
Oh, for
then
sure.
yeah, and then on the other side you'd have like the J. Edgar Hoover building and there or something like
I
that.
no, I agree. It's just there's so many of these like one-off things that people are trying to figure out, and they're always in different scales, and they're trying to figure out and lay out their city. Like there's a reason the modulars are so popular, and I'm stating the obvious here, but like people love when things click together, literally, and you can just like easily swap this stuff out. I think if they paid a little more attention on on the lower end, I think
Yeah.
that could be wildly successful too, like flat out building neighborhoods and things like that could be somebody's jam, and I think making it more accessible and at a price where they'd want to get, I mean, even just putting a couple of tiles in there to do what I said, like the color swaps. Can you
Yeah.
imagine they just put ten extra pieces in there, 20, whatever it is? It's a 3-in-1 anyway.
Yeah.
Like, do you want this house to have teal accents or do you want it to have red? Oh, here's an idea. Buy 2 of them. Like what they did with the Camaro. Like, whatever. The point
Yeah.
is, like, just
Yeah.
stuff like that. So
All right, so let's move along. We're going to wrap it up soon. I thought it would be fun if we just went ahead and do this. I am going to go ahead. I'm on Lego Shop at Home. I have all of the themes pulled up. And I was just going to start, I guess, have a lightning round slash one word description on these themes that they offer. Architecture. We've never talked about architecture. Any thoughts of architecture as a collector or investor?
yeah, I think they just need to really stay the course and keep doing what they're doing. Again, that's probably more your wheelhouse. I have a couple of odd sets that mean something to me. Having lived in New York City, been to London a bunch, and Vegas, so I'm pretty sparingly buying those. And from an investment standpoint, from what I see, I think they're doing pretty well, Jim. I mean, you're the expert here. Are they all doing pretty well at the end of the day, or are there
They
some stinkers? I mean, like, and is the
so
stinker that bad of a stinker? Like, maybe.
so honestly, I don't know what Tokyo is doing right now. Tokyo is one of the few sets I'm not a fan of, so I could be wrong. People are more than happy to go on Amazon and see what Tokyo is doing right now. I mean, my only critique about the architecture theme is I wish there would be more. So far, we're in May. There's none. There's no releases yet. I think they're going to be doing a Japanese temple later this year, which I am all about. I think having that next to a bonsai tree would be amazing.
Yeah, it's
So,
85 on Amazon right now, so it's gone up $25.
okay, okay, not too
Good
bad.
start. Maybe Q4 we could have some magic, right?
Hopefully,
Q4 magic. All right.
Q4 magic. That's
But yeah, I mean,
yeah,
stay the course, right? They're on a good thing. I
t-shirt.
don't think they need to go too I think they should mix it up a little bit with temples and stuff, like you said, instead of just skylines all the time. So I think just,
Right.
stay the course.
Batman. Do we need to talk about Batman? We talked about Batman a little bit already.
I'm looking forward to the reaction on this. I'm gonna love following the drama on this Batcave. There's gonna be a lot of griping, and there's gonna be a lot of people swearing it's the greatest thing on earth, and I just love that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, Batman is literally all that's holding DC together as far as Lego's concerned. So I wish it
Right,
luck. I don't want to see DC go away.
right. Brickheads. There's a lot of exciting things going on with Brickheads.
Yeah, I think so. I think you know on our show, we kind of say they're the nice way to hit a GWP. With this we mentioned the odd pricing earlier, and I think it's very much by design. Obviously, you mentioned like the people in the boardroom making these decisions, and I think a lot of times you're going to be $10 shy, or you're going to be $20 shy. And I think if there's something out there that you want to pick up, just as a stocking stuffer, or if you just happen to collect one theme real heavy, this recent Star Wars Brickheads, I think I don't know if it has major upside. I'd be curious to hear your opinion on that. 'Cause it's not really gonna go super on sale, I don't think. I do like some of these special editions. I think they've got it wrong, and by that I mean these multi-packs, these 4 and
Yeah,
5 packs. I think Spice Girl's obviously a dud. We'll see what it does long term, but I'm interested to see what a multi-pack Star Wars does, 'cause if that can't make it, I don't know if anything can, quite frankly.
Yeah, I think if there's one that's going to make it, it would be that one. I mean, it would have to, right? But we'll
Yep.
see. Brick sketches, we're just gonna jump over
Is that
that
still a
one.
thing? I don't. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, it's a Lego shop at home. When I click onto it, there's
I will say I thought this, and I still do, the storm trooper and the BB-8 in particular. I could see if somebody, if they kept up with it and maybe chose a few more popular characters. I mean, obviously Stormtrooper, sure. I could see like a Sith wall, but I feel like they feel like art's doing that work for them. You know what I mean? So
right.
maybe it's just too similar.
The only Lego sketch offered right now is the Iron Man at 40% off. So maybe they're done with that and
I got
that'll
them
be it.
all for 40% off, and that's one of those rare times, Jim, where you can get it in store for that. I think I got them all for 11-ish or 10-ish or something. So I have the whatever it is, Batman, Joker, Iron Man, Miles Morales, whatever. Yeah, again, just to hit a GWP or scratch an itch. I'm like, I'm not buying it. Okay, I'll buy something today. I'll buy that.
Lego City, we already talked about that a little bit.
Yep, Lego City. I said it earlier, and I think it was a little harsh. I think Lego City's been back maybe since last summer or even last January. I think Lego City was really uh, for me, I feel like it hit a low when they like forced the road plates and everything. And I
Yeah,
understand that they need to do that, but it made for some really thin, hollowed out builds, and the price points were really outrageous considering what you were getting. The price, if you're a price per piece guy, that just looked, super wacky because then you got the defenders going, well, these road plates are worth 100 and it's like, no, dude, you sold me a thin ass fire station just because you had road plates and you're putting $90 on it. Not today, sir. But I do feel like they've been making a comeback. I think, what set told me they were back? It's going to sound wild, but that crane set they have, the little navy
yeah.
blue crane, I'm like,
Okay.
okay, you're back to your roots now. Let's start cranking this out. And then they followed it up with that awesome recycling truck.
Yeah.
Like we talked about the higher end, but I do think they're making some really nice moves on the entry level side of things as well. Some of these smaller builds. That new ice cream shop that's coming out is
Yeah.
badass. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
seen it. It's got the drip coming down the side.
Yeah.
Little shout out to Friends on that with the rainbow pastel, but
Right.
yeah. Yeah, I think Friends is in a good, or City's in a great spot, or it's on its way back.
Yeah. All right. We're gonna skip classic because that's mostly bricks, loose bricks, and then I guess we'll wrap it up with Creator 3-in-1.
Yeah, same with 3 and 1. They're not all necessarily for me. I'd say it's 50-50. Again, that's for my
Yeah.
personal taste. And I would almost say the taste for others, because I think we see the shelf warmers that are out there, and some of them you're just like, who's this for? It doesn't really fit with anything else. But then you'll have these gems like the fish tank. And, I don't know long term how Butthole Tiger's done, but it certainly became a meme and moved some units with that. And then on the higher end of things, obviously the medieval castle, which what's going
Right.
on with that one? That one's in and out. I mean, I feel like are you advising your followers to buy high on that? Is there anything you want to talk about on that? Where are
Um.
you at on that? Because it's get you know what I
So
mean. It's not in stock very often.
I think it's a good set.
I think it's
I think
two easily, right? It's going to be two, I think, minimum.
yeah, I mean honestly, if I was a collector and I mean I'm a builder to a point, but if I was a serious builder, I would buy two or three of those because you've seen alternate builds.
Oh, there's some killer stuff, and not even just doing what they're saying with the 3 in 1. I mean, people are just making mega castles for 3 bills that, you know,
Yeah,
are kind of approaching that Lion Knights territory. So,
right,
yeah, for sure.
right,
Yeah.
right. So yeah, I mean I think so. Here's the deal. It's kind
Blacksmith,
of
I'm with you
like
though. Sorry, Blacksmith though, go heavy. As heavy as possible. And I know you're advising, and I know
yeah,
there's some targets out there that are slipping. If you guys live in small markets and you see that blacksmith for 150,
yep.
run, don't walk. I agree with you. That's every bit of $400 in a fairly short order. And as you know, Castle is definitely heating up.
Yeah. I picked one or two up the other day
Saw
for
that.
150
Yeah.
at my Lego at my Target store.
Yep. Great
So,
move.
all right, well, let's go ahead and put a lid on it. Sean, thanks again for showing up. He is Sean the right way. Brent, unfortunately, did not get a chance to be a part of it, but that's okay. It
Yeah.
will make my editing this a lot easier. So,
Well,
so it's no
yeah.
big deal.
Yep, I was gonna say, and thanks so much for having us. And guys, if you need like a short, if I may, elevator pitch for a couple of brickheads, it really is very similar format to what Jim and I are doing. It's just kind of Well, there's a girl now too, but it's dudes and gals sitting around just talking about Lego. We hit the news leaks and rumors for the week because people want to hear our thoughts on it. We have a lot of fun. I'd say it's half a comedy show, honestly.
Yeah.
But unscripted, definitely. We just have some bullets we go off of, and we have really, really cool guests. Jim's been on, and we have another or several other members, notable members of the Lego community in our archives. We got people like Ryan from M&R Productions. We got Tyler from Life Bricks. We just had Ash and Flash. We just had Just Too
Yeah.
Good, I think, the week before that. Rich Boy Jay. So, and I would say if you're into Star Wars in particular, you're really going to love us. But I do want to be clear, we talk about everything on a couple of Brickheads. So Thursday nights at 9, catch us live. Nothing like live, Jim. You know that. Things
Right.
can go get wacky. But certainly we appreciate Replay Gang listening the next day. We hear from a lot of folks that it gets them through their Friday, and honestly that makes it all worth it to be able to just throw some AirPods in and listen to dorks geek out about Lego for a few hours. I mean, who doesn't want to listen to that? So
Right.
there you go.
Right. Well, awesome. All right. Well, thanks everybody for listening and joining us, and we'll catch you soon. Take care.
And go out there and get it.